Hey guys, it's Alex, aka Mythmaker. If you are like me and you're generally strapped for cash, uh, you're not going to consider buying things like channel strips and outboard compressors, saturators, EQs, and things like that. Those are kind of not the most important things for a music producer to purchase, at least not for a few years. Now I've been a music producer for coming on 15 years now, but I still don't like spending money on unnecessary outboard gear. I like to be as resourceful as possible before I open up my wallet. Now, I would love to be able to get make like a Euro rack channel strip, or like a 500 series lunchbox channel strip that I could take live with me. If you're not playing live, this video probably isn't that relevant because the software in your DAW is going to be sufficient to do this for a recording. You can always add EQs and saturators and compressors. Most DAWs have these things stock, like for free. If you buy the DAW, you can get these plugins already. Most of them sound good, whether you got Logic, Bitwig, Ableton, something like that, Fruity Loops. All the stock plugins sound good in my opinion. So for studio recordings, this video is not necessary. I needed a solution for live performance. I've gotten into playing techno, and I've changed up my setup for the past couple of months, where I like to just play a drum machine, in this case the Electron Syntact, plus just one synth. And I'm playing the Vermona Mono Lancet 15, which is a clone of the Roland SH-101. So pro tip, if you want that SH-101 sound, don't spend $4,000 on a broken synth from 1979 just to get the Roland brand name stamped on it. It's like the difference between buying a Mercedes and a Volvo. A Volvo's the same damn car for $60,000 less. Anyhow, get yourself a Vermona Mono Lancet for $500. It's the same synth. There's one problem with that synth though. As beautiful as it sounds, as incredible as the filter sounds, the stable oscillators and how clean they are. They're just such beautiful, clean, stable oscillators. They lack distortion, they lack character. Especially when you're playing like progressive house or techno, and it's your only synth. It's the star of the show. You've got this beefy drum machine playing that's got this incredible analog kick and some maybe noise and white noise and stuff like that. And then you have this very clean, stable CEM 3340 chipset playing through, and it just doesn't sound as beefy or big as you want it to. It's the star of the show. You got to put it through a channel strip for a live performance to get the most out of it, to just squeeze all the juice out of this orange. I've been looking for channel strip solutions for a couple of months, and I can't find one that's less than $1,000. It's just, if you're going to build a tiny Euro rack case to do it, you could do it at the cheapest for like $800 to get saturation, compression, and EQ. That's too much. If you want to do the 500 series lunchbox, it will literally cost you like $4,500 to get a 500 series lunchbox. That's unobtainium. And that's just stupid for a live show anyway. Like, why would you? I mean, if you got the money sitting around, go ahead and support these music companies who make this hardware. Spend your money. Don't let me stop you. But like, if you're going to be spending $4,500 just to make a single synthesizer sound better for a 45-minute performance, then you've got good money. God bless you. Enjoy your life. That's fantastic. But I can't afford that. But I've had this little pedal for such a long time, and I can't believe I didn't think of it before. The Zoom, what's it called? The MS-70 CDR. I had this thing for like 12 years. It cost $100 back in the day. I think now it costs like $150 because of the whole electronics thing that's been going on the last 3 years. The economy shat the bed. So I think it's $150 right now. Which for an effects pedal, a multi-effects pedal, I think this has 80 or 90 effects in it. Like delays, compressors, amp simulators, reverbs, filters, flangers and phasers and choruses. It's like, it's insane the value you get for this. So I was like desperate looking for channel strips and solutions for it. And I was like, wait, I think the Zoom has some like EQs and stuff in it. And I found it's got saturators, EQs, and compressors. And it has enough processing power, DSP, to run 5 of them at once. I ran it through 2 saturators, 1 compressor, and 2 equalizers. And I still had enough DSP to put a delay effect at the end, which I don't use in this video, but I can still run a delay at the end of that signal chain. So I got 6 effects. It's got enough processing power to have an entire channel strip with 2 saturators, 2 EQs, and a compressor, and 1 more effect after that. And it cost me $100. And it sounds great. Now, the thing you got to understand about this is that it is not at all transparent. This thing seriously colors your tone. It will change your tone quite a bit, but that's what I was looking for. That's what I wanted. I wanted a dirty sound. I wanted lots of distortion. I wanted some digital artifacts. I'm into that. I like it. That's to my taste. It's my preference to have a deeply colored sound. I want to get those CEM 3340 oscillators and filters, those insanely clean sounding oscillators and filters, to sound dirtier. So let's dive right in. All right, so let's just jump right in here. Here we've got the Zoom MS70 CDR. Over here we got ourselves a Vermona Mono Lancet. This is a clone, essentially, of the SH101. So you don't need to spend, $4,000 on an old broken synth from 1979 when you can spend $500 on a Vermona. It uses the CEM 3340 chipset, and you'll hear the similarities, or the fact that it sounds literally exactly the same as a Roland SH101. So I've got, in this is my little channel strip here. The first one that it goes into, now it goes from right to left, like guitar pedals, like old school guitar pedals. Pedal 1 is an exciter. Basically, this is a harmonic saturator. You only have 1 page of settings, bass, treble, and the level. So I saturated the bass up to 36 points, whatever that value is, the treble at 64, and I turned down the level. Unity is 100, where it won't make it louder or quieter. It's just like a pass-through. But I turned it down because of the next stage of sending it through the compressor. I wanted the compressor to do more work to add more color to the sound. So I had this doing less work, but you'll see this this adds a lot of really nice color to it, this exciter. I really like how it sounds. So again, this is not at all a transparent chain here. This channel strip is to color your sound very much. So it goes into an optical compressor. Obviously, this is a digital version of an optical compressor. It's not real optical. Again, 1 page of parameters. I kept the level at unity because I don't want it to get louder or quieter at this stage. I kept the tone at 50. So if you turn the tone to the right, this boosts the high end, and to the left, this reduces. It acts kind of like a high shelf or a low pass filter a little bit. But I keep it at 50. I don't want it to color the tone at this point. And the drive at 5. So basically, drive being at 5, the drive is how much the compressor is working for you. Optical compressors have an input volume and an output volume. Sometimes they just have a drive, which is like simultaneously turning an input and an output at the same level. So as you turn up the input, you turn down the output, right? That's what drive is doing. It's turning up the input as it's turning down the output, and it's going to level out your signal like a compressor or a limiter. Optical compressors are sometimes called leveling amplifiers. That's what they used to be called in the 70s. And it basically makes the quiet parts of your sound a little bit louder and the loud parts of your sound a little bit quieter. It's generally what a compressor does. A leveling amplifier, an optical compressor, just does it more extreme, like a sort of like a limiter. And then from this optical compressor, the next one is the bass EQ.
the bass EQ. It's important that you set the bass EQ because you want these two finer points down in the subs here, 50 hertz and 120 hertz. And I'm dropping them by 4 and 3 decibels respectively. And the rest I'm leaving alone. I'm not touching the rest of the EQ. Keep it at unity. You don't want to change the volume here. So I'm just cutting the subs. And that's because the next stage of the signal chain is another exciter. The exact same module as the first. I'm just putting a second one in later. And you'll see I don't change anything about the bass or the treble. I just turn the volume down a little bit because it gets pretty wild at this point. So I turn the volume down by 30 points, whatever it is. It's not 30 decibels. It's probably like 4 to 10 decibels. I can't tell. But you don't need to, to my taste, to my ears, I didn't need to do anything here. Just passing the signal through the exciter already colors the signal immensely. Just having the exciter turned on changes how it sounds completely. And what the exciter does is, as it boosts the bass and the treble harmonics, I think it only boosts, it's like not an EQ. It's not just boosting the bass and the treble. What it does, it's saturating, I believe, just the even harmonics or just the odd harmonics, which is a form of saturation. It's called excitement. It's called an exciter, where it just picks either the even or the odd harmonics and boosts those, and it gives you just a really nice tone. It's like adding light distortion to the signal. Now, from this exciter, I went to a regular EQ. So you can see it's not the bass EQ. This is just the normal EQ because it has 800 hertz, which I boost by 2 decibels. On the second page, 3.2 kilohertz and 6.4 kilohertz. I also boost by 2 decibels. And then the rest, is at unity. So I'm just boosting the high mids because the exciter, this exciter right here, and the other exciter, basically scoops out the mids. It kind of kills your mid-range stuff, and your line becomes a little less defined. There's less articulation in the notes you're playing. The mid-range is where you really hear what note you're playing. It gives you that, what a bass player would call articulation. So I've got some MIDI notes. I got a sequence feeding my mono lancet here, and it's your basic techno sequence. And it's just a single square wave. Just one oscillator is turned on. I don't have both oscillators turned on because I want this to be very clean. I'm going to add a little delay to it because it'll help your ear stay on the note longer. And that'll give your ear more time to hear how the tone is changing. It's a very clean digital delay. So I'm going to turn on the first exciter now. So I'm sure you can hear that really beefed up the bass quite a lot, and it made the treble a little sparkly. I'll turn it off. I'll turn it back on now. Now, a lot of people might be happy with just one exciter and nothing else, because that sounds pretty good. It's just a bit of harmonic distortion, just really beefing up your signal. And you could just stop the signal chain right there if you wanted. But for the kind of special sort of techno that I've been playing over the past couple of months, I'm just using a drum machine and the mono lancet and nothing else. So I'm running the mono lancet through effects and things. It's the star of the show. So I have a lot of headroom. I can do a lot. I want the mono lancet to really shine through, so I made this whole signal chain. Now we're going to go to the second effect, the optical compressor. And I will turn it on now. Now I'll turn it back off. This one's a little subtler. I'll turn it back on. So I'm not sure. You know, YouTube compresses things in its own way, but you probably can hear it adds a little bit of distortion to it. And the loud notes are a little quieter and the quiet notes are a little louder. So I use the optical compressor because I just love how the distortion sounds. It's like adding another saturator. And I just liked how it sounded. So again, this is not a transparent signal chain. This channel strip, essentially this is a channel strip, is very, very much going to color your tone. So if you're looking for a transparent channel strip, this is not the technique to use. Now we'll go over to the bass EQ. Now here you'll notice it's going to cut the bass. I'm going to turn it on now. And you're probably thinking that sounds terrible. Well, you have to cut the bass here because if you have too much sub-frequency going into this second exciter, it blows it out. You get digital distortion. You get a lot of signal loss, a lot of aliasing. It sounds really, really, really bad. So you have to cut the bass before it gets into the exciter. But after the first exciter, after the first compressor, because you want those bass notes to be accentuated there, but then you gotta attenuate them at this stage right after the compressor. It's kind of like the British EQ technique where you attenuate and boost at the same time using analog hardware, because it'll give you a chance to saturate more without breaking up your signal. So this is without the second exciter. And now I'll turn it on. You probably heard that quite dramatically. I'll turn it off. And now back on. So you can hear the bass is much fatter. The treble is a bit crispier, but it's also a bit dull. And unfortunately, you lose a little bit of your mid-range articulation at this point. It kind of sucks out the mids. So let's just listen for a little while. Okay, off again. This might be good enough for you. You might not want a second exciter. But to my taste, I just wanted to run it through another one. So you can hear it like this. And then we'll go to the graphic EQ, where we boost those high mids again. Remember at 800, 3 and 6K. And I'll turn it on now. Okay, I'll turn it off. And now back on. So this one's a little subtle, but it does bring in that articulation where the highs are a little bit brighter and you can hear the transients of the bass notes a little bit better so that each note is a little more distinct, like what we would call articulation. So we'll just listen a little bit again. And that's my channel strip.
Thanks so much for watching that video. I really appreciate your time. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. I'm not there yet, but I've been recording courses for music production, for electronic music production, and I'll be launching a new website pretty soon. Well, I don't know how long it's going to take me, but because I want you guys to get more bang for your buck. So before I launch it, it's going to be a series of online courses and a knowledge database for sound design on synthesizers and DAWs, good knowledge for performing live gigs, setting up live electronic music rigs, how to perform, how to compose music. I'm going to really just sink my teeth into teaching electronic music because I've been getting a lot of questions about it, and I saw an opportunity. I'm like, I can make online courses. So keep an eye out for that. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate you guys asking me questions. And I like helping you guys learn about this stuff. So thanks for watching. I hope this video was useful to you. So before spending $1,000 on a Eurorack channel strip or $4,500 on a lunchbox, maybe try one of these first. See you next time.